There is controversy after Joey Janela has recounted how Sabu's retirement match over WrestleMania weekend almost didn't happen, with the now past ECW legend being unable to walk and having to use kratom to get to the ring. We'll let you know all of the details when it comes to Janela's response, GCW's response, and the story behind Sabu's retirement match. Speaking of those tributes, they continued on Monday Night Raw, courtesy of a Michael Cole voiceover segment. CM Punk gets an assist from Sami Zayn and Jey Uso to fight off Bron Breakker and Seth Rollins. CM Punk's upcoming match alongside Sami Zayn against Rollins and Breakker is confirmed for Saturday night's main event. Could CM Punk be set to wrestle at an upcoming Saudi Arabia PLE in Night of Champions, despite previous criticism of WWE running shows in the country? Gunther's World Heavyweight Championship rematch has been confirmed. WWE looks set to bring back Evolution later on this year. More details on the recent TNA blood and blading ban that has been implemented onto talent. Akira Tozawa is not medically cleared to compete on Raw. Several matches and segments are confirmed for next week's edition of the Red Brand. Several matches and segments have been confirmed for Friday's edition of SmackDown in USA. And timeless Tony Storm's opponents for AEW Dynamite Beach Break have been revealed. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Before we begin, you can see right there, we are currently at 21,644 subscribers. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and join the ever-expanding WNU, that being the Wrestling News universe. In addition, you can join the members of the WN365 roster by scanning the QR code when it appears on the sidebar, clicking the join button or the link in the video description below. You get your badges, your emojis, and your exclusive members-only content. And whilst you're checking out the sidebar, you can see all upcoming watch-alongs and post-shows live here we've got on the channel for the month of May. That includes AEW Double or Nothing later on this month. Now let's get into a controversial story here regarding the passing of the late great Sabu, of course, who sadly passed away just a few days ago. But there now is controversy regarding his retirement match that took place just a month ago for GCW over WrestleMania 41 weekend. Now, if you're not aware, Sabu entered the ring for one final time at Joey Janela's Spring Break 9 on April 18th in a no-ropes barbed wire bout against Janela. The bout was billed as Sabu's retirement match, and it was his first match since 2021. Sabu unfortunately passed away on May 11th. Now, speaking to Phil Schneider of Yahoo's The Uncrowned, Joey Janela recounted the events leading up to the bout and how it didn't nearly happen. He said, quote, "I was fairly confident that he was fine. I was kept in contact with him, and he has a team of people around him, guys this time. They were all saying he was ready to go, that he was going to the gym, that he was on a training program. I believed them until the day of the show. Then 2 hours before, I get a call, Sabu can't walk." "What do you mean Sabu can't walk?" they said. "Yeah, Sabu, something with his knee, they're locked up, he can't walk, and his feet are bleeding. He's not coming, Sabu's not coming." I said, "Sabu's fucked." So we talked to indie wrestler Matt Tremont, and Tremont is about to be the replacement for the match. And I feel like this is going to be the most embarrassing moment of my wrestling career. There's 2,000 people here. This is one of the biggest spring breaks ever. The biggest crowd Mania weekend, indie-wise. And I'm having to go out there and announce that Sabu once again no-showed, and no-showed his own retirement match. Now, GCW promoter Brett Lauderdale said he felt confident Sabu was showing up as long as he was still in communication with everyone. Quote, "We are an hour into the show and I said, just get Sabu here," Janela continued. So they gave him something called kratom. You can buy it at a smoke shop or something. It's like a legal opiate or something. They said, he's hopping on the bed, he's hopping off the bed, and we're going to get him to the show. So he shows up 2 hours into the show. Sabu was on a different fucking planet. Everyone in the backstage was like, what the fuck is this match going to happen? And my God, it did happen. During the bout, Sabu went face first into a barbed wire web and then went crashing through a barbed wire board, hitting his head hard on the outside. Quote, "He was definitely out cold. He was done," Janela said. "They were telling me there was no way. The refs were communicating to me, there's no way he's continuing this match. Like, holy shit. That is the one time you want the barbed wire to stop you. He just blew right through it. And then the Sandman came out, and that was all Sabu needed. Then the resurrection happened. Jesus resurrected 2 days later. The anniversary. Couldn't fucking believe it, dude. He was ready to go again. I guess that concussion knocked him back to 1996 or something, I don't know. By the time Sandman had finished his spot, running off Atticus Kogar, Sabu was back up and able to finish the match. Quote, just because how ridiculous it was, if you were one of the wrestlers or one of the staff in the locker that night, you knew the panic in my fucking eyes, Janela said. And to see that get pulled off and the crowd be on their feet, I mean, it's like a fucking dance through raindrops and not getting wet. Now, after the article was released, though, some questioned why Sabu was even allowed to proceed with the match, given that, reportedly, according to Janela, that was his condition prior to entering the squared circle. Now, Janela actually offered his own replies on social media. You can see him on the screen right here. Now, he clarified that people at GCW didn't give Sabu kratom. His team did. He said, quote, we didn't give him kratom. His team did. It's also not illegal, and 85% of professional wrestlers do it, especially the ones on TV, so F you. He continued by saying, Sabu was a grown man. He did what he had to do to get out there. I took care of him to the best of my ability. I didn't think what happened halfway through would happen. It was all to get him one great payday and one last shine in the spotlight. That night wasn't about me, it was about Sabu, and I wouldn't change a thing. He then continued by saying, Sabu's friends and family are over the moon for what we did for him. Once again, F you and kiss my ass. He then responded when it comes to the spot of Sabu landing on the concrete on the outside and allegedly getting knocked out. Someone said, the concrete spot I'm sure wasn't supposed to happen. The barbed wire gave out. That kind of stuff happens. Joey has been known for being able to take older wrestlers and being able to showcase them at the highest level. Janela responded by saying, I moved the board from the post so he didn't hit his head on the post. I didn't know he was going to gun it like he did, but he's effing Sabu, LOL. He then once again responded to the controversy about the use of kratom. Someone had said on social media, this is some mental behavior to manifest the idea that GCW, Brett, and Joey for that matter, would drug Sabu and make him wrestle, especially with how much Sabu means to Joey as a wrestler and a person. F you. Now, Janela quote tweeted this and said, people use kratom to get off pills. I didn't give shit to him. Unfortunately, people are acting like I shot someone up with black tar heroin or dropped something in his drink. He then responded finally with a lengthy post saying, I'm truly devastated over this, and this whole deal has really affected me. Kratom is something Sabu took daily for years. It helped him get off other substances. Sabu loved his weed, and kratom, his body was wrecked doing what he loved for 40 years. I did an interview for that article 2 days after the match, not knowing what would transpire weeks later, and I said he was knocked out after that spot when, despite being a rough deal, he was not that. It was just trying to add to the lore and unpredictability of Sabu. I love Sabu. He was legitimately my idol growing up and my friend. I just wanted to give him and the fans one last great Sabu spectacle. I'm sorry for lashing out at you, but your tweet caused a snowball effect that has many people saying I was in part responsible for my friend's death. Sabu was fine after, the day after, signed at WrestleCon and has been doing many appearances since. I don't know what the cause of death. All I can say is that I wouldn't change a thing and happy he went out on top. Now, there was also a response from Brett Lauderdale, of course, the owner of GCW, who said, quote, Sabu was my friend and I was devastated to learn of his passing. Please read. Now, he posted a following statement on social media as well, saying, as a rule, I try not to respond to every claim made on social media, but sometimes I need to speak up and get on the record. When I received word of Sabu's passing on Sunday, I was devastated. I have known Sabu personally for almost 20 years and been in constant contact with him for the last 2 years. We were friends, and I cared about him and have deep respect for him. In the months leading up to the match, I told him repeatedly how much I believed in him and how much excited I was for him to finally get his flowers and be celebrated the way he had earned and deserved. He was both nervous and excited, but determined to give fans one last extreme performance to remember. Any suggestion that I or GCW or Joey Janela forced him to do this match, supplied him with substances, or somehow caused his death is irresponsible, disingenuous, hurtful, and false. It's upsetting and discouraging to see people so eager to cast judgment without knowledge of the facts. I would never knowingly put someone who I believe was a danger to themselves or others in the ring, and my track record shows this to be true. I have pulled people in a public and painful manner from big matches before, sometimes literal moments before a match was to begin, and I would do it again if I had to. I spoke to Sabu moments before the match, and he was Sabu. He was the same Sabu I had encountered in the past when I participated in his matches as a referee and later as a promoter. He was the same Sabu I met with the following day at WrestleCon, and the same Sabu that made multiple appearances on podcasts and at conventions in the weeks that followed. The truth is, Sabu lived a hard life both in and outside of the ring. He was fearless and reckless, qualities that both endured him to millions and made us worry about him at the same time. Decades of extreme took its toll, and no matter what we want to believe, nobody is immortal. While Sabu will live forever, Terry Brunk will not, and unfortunately his time has come. It's sad, and my heart goes out to his friends and family, and I join them in mourning his loss. I feel lucky and blessed to have known him, and I'm proud to have been able to host his final match. Sabu was a legend, and his impact in our world was immeasurable. He will never be forgotten. Now, more details on this story comes courtesy of Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select. Now, as I mentioned, this interview covered Sabu's physical condition leading into his match with Janela, of which Janela said they provided Sabu kratom so he could get through the match. Sabu has noted in the past that kratom was important in helping him get off opiates. Unfortunately, after the match, Sabu passed away a few weeks following the WrestleMania weekend. It was confirmed to Fightful that Janela did the interview shortly after the match itself, and Janela claimed he embellished some of the elements of the match itself to add to the lore of Sabu. Fightful are told that GCW was frustrated, embarrassed, and humiliated by the interview itself. Brett Lauderdale did speak to Joey Janela about the interview and situation, but Fightful aren't sure what has actually come of it. There is no indication that the GCW match or anything related to that story had a connection with Sabu's passing. Sabu worked WrestleCon shortly after the match. Of course, if we get any more details and reaction to this, we'll of course let you know in a future video. Now, more tributes to Sabu come courtesy of WWE on last night's edition of Monday Night Raw. WWE paid tribute to hardcore legend Terrence Brunk, better known to wrestling fans as Sabu, after his passing at the age of 60 over the weekend. Sabu established himself as a legend of ECW throughout the 90s, becoming a two-time World Heavyweight Champion, three-time Tag Team Champion, and former World Television Champion, and even a former holder of the FTW Heavyweight Championship, revived by AEW in 2020 into its retirement last year. It would be through his ECW fame they made appearances in WCW until the promotion closed its doors, and once more in WWE when it was revived as a third brand facing John Cena in the Vengeance 2006 Premium Live event. Now, Sabu had yet to be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame for his exploits despite many calls, but it didn't prevent the company from honouring the passing of the legend during Monday's edition of Raw on Netflix with a tribute package and voiceover from Michael Cole. Cole gave credence to Taz, his commentary contemporary currently with AEW, as both a rival and a championship-winning partner, but largely spoke of the resume and importance to the industry that Sabu boasted. Now, continuing with Monday Night Raw, CM Punk got some assistance last night. The May 12th edition of WWE Raw kicked off with a passionate promo from CM Punk, allowing the best in the world to speak his mind for the first time since WrestleMania 41. Punk started off by talking about how he's pissed off at a lot of people, with the top person being himself. This allowed Punk to explain that he shouldn't have trusted Heyman after their fiasco in 2013, noting that the wise man has always been a fat little snake. Seth Rollins was also a target for Punk before he quickly shifted back to Heyman, saying that he can't wait to get his hands around his fat neck. This prompted an appearance from Heyman. He was seemingly bolting towards the ring. Punk demanded an explanation from the former wise man, prompting Rollins to appear. Rollins ran down Punk, saying that he made Heyman's life a living hell. Rollins also slammed Punk for being the reason he's not the World Heavyweight Champion. The fighting words came to an end moments later, as Rollins touted Punk's desperation to be a victim and desire to die as a martyr. Rollins proceeded to send Bron Breakker to the ring to fight Punk. Punk was able to fend off Breaker's early attacks, taking down Rollins in the process. After the tables turned again, Sami Zayn surfaced from the crowd with a chair. Breakker and Rollins eventually overpowered the duo still, prompting Jey Uso to hit the ring. Eventually, Uso, Zayn, and Punk chased off Breakker and Rollins. This is leading to a big tag team match at Saturday night's main event coming up later on this month, involving CM Punk, Sami Zayn, Seth Rollins, and Bron Breakker. After joining forces in a brawl that opened Monday's edition of Raw, Sami Zayn and CM Punk are now set to team at Saturday night's main event, facing Bron Breakker and Seth Rollins in tag team action. This will be the first time that Breakker and Rollins have teamed together since joining forces back on the Raw after WrestleMania. Now, when it comes to CM Punk, many are wondering, given his past comments about WWE's PLEs and events in the country, could Punk be set to wrestle in Saudi Arabia for the first time later this year? WWE's live events deal with Saudi Arabia has been, of course, controversial since its inception, with fans and wrestlers alike calling out the company for their part in sports washing in the Gulf states' image. One outspoken critic of WWE's relationship with Saudi Arabia is CM Punk, who infamously told The Miz to go suck a blood money covered dick in Saudi Arabia, you effing dork, whilst Punk was outside of the pro wrestling bubble. Whilst Punk is firm in his beliefs, you can definitively never say never to anything, as is the case with all 99% of humans on Earth. Speaking of WWE's upcoming return to Saudi Arabia with the Night of Champions PLE, Dave Meltzer speculated on Punk's involvement with the show, saying the following on a recent edition of Wrestling Observer Radio, quote, "Guys have the option not to go, but they are pressured to go, like Pretty Hardy." He said he would never go, but, people say a lot of things, said Meltzer. Now, of course, as was seen during the WWE Night of Champions PLE advertisement, Punk was featured winking at the end of the promo. WWE's relationship with the Saudi Arabia Ministry of Sport seems to show no sign of decreasing, with the 2026 Royal Rumble Premium Live event set to take place in the country next year. With the Rumble being such an important tentpole event for WWE, it remains to be seen who will and who will not take part in the affair next year. Now, Gunther, his next opportunity at reclaiming the World Heavyweight Championship has been confirmed. A little under 2 weeks before his title defense against Logan Paul, World Heavyweight Champion Jey Uso got some bad news on Monday's edition of Raw, as Gunther revealed he'll be challenging for the title on the June 9th edition of the Red Brand Show on Netflix. This will be Gunther's first time challenging for the title since losing it to Jey Uso at WrestleMania 41. So, on the June 9th episode of Raw, it will be Jey Uso or Logan Paul defending the World Heavyweight Championship against the Ring General. Now, WWE Evolution, there's been so much chatter, hasn't there, about the return of the former all-women's PLE. Ever since it occurred back in the fall of 2018, both fans and wrestlers have clamoured for the return of WWE's all-women Evolution event, with the cries often falling on deaf ears. This year it seemed to be different, however, with two separate reports emerging in March suggesting that the second Evolution PLE would be taking place this summer, with WWE reportedly looking to run the event in Connecticut in early July. Now, a few months removed from those initial reports, some confusion remains on what's going on regarding Evolution 2. PW Insider is reporting that WWE is potentially still looking at early July as a time to run the event, though the Connecticut location appears to have been discarded in favour of running the show in Atlanta, Georgia. The current date for the event is believed to be July 13th, which would coincide with AEW All-In Weekend and a WWE Saturday Night's Main Event Special, which would take place on July 12th. Evolution taking place in Atlanta would suggest Saturday Night's Main Event will also occur there, as a venue for the special is yet to be announced. One interesting aspect regarding Evolution 2 is that despite looking at these dates, WWE sources have yet to confirm the event is actually happening. Fightful Select similarly reported that the event hasn't been confirmed and has learned that talent hasn't even been approached regarding it, aware of the rumoured event only through numerous speculation about it online. Making the situation even murkier is several WWE legends have discussed the event as happening, though it remains unclear whether they have been informed that or are merely responding to internet speculation. Another interesting aspect regarding Evolution 2 is that a job listing has noted that Fanatics are looking for a WWE retail event associate to work Evolution in Atlanta, Georgia. Now, while no date is listed for when the job would begin, it seemingly does confirm that WWE are indeed planning to revive the Evolution PLE. Switching over to TNA Wrestling here, and more details on the ban of blood and blading in the company. TNA Wrestling recently informed its roster it would not allow its stars to bleed excessively in the ring, and a new report has provided further details about the new rules enforced by Total Nonstop Action Wrestling. Fightful Select has reported that TNA management decided to implement the new rules because things have gone, quote, overboard, end quote, recently. The report added that wrestlers bleeding would mean more if it happened sporadically, should the promotion decide to allow wrestlers to cut themselves again. Another reason why TNA may have decided to change the rules is that they're trying to sell their broadcast rights, and the no-blood policy would make it easier to sell to potential broadcasters. Another report had previously claimed that TNA's decision could have been made to attract more advertisers to their product, while the move away may have been made to follow WWE's policy, with whom they have persistently, of course, now shared a partnership presently. TNA also reportedly made the decision, taking into consideration the health of their performers. The promotion announced the recent direction that the promotion is taking in a talent meeting last Friday. Of course, a lot of changes have taken place within the TNA promotion over the last few months, with TNA announcing 2 vice presidents recently, as well as an international TV deal. Akira Tozawa, he's not still cleared to compete following an attack by Rusev last week. Akira Tozawa is not cleared. On the May 5th edition of Raw, Rusev made his return to the ring, facing and defeating Otis in a singles match. Akira Tozawa tried to get involved after the conclusion of the bout, prompting Rusev to attack him. On the May 12th edition of the show, Tozawa lobbied for a match with Rusev. Adam Pearce declined this request for the time being, noting that he is not medically cleared. Pearce assured Tozawa that the possibility will be revisited once he's cleared. Of course, we get any more details on that, we'll let you know in a future video. Now, several matches and segments are confirmed for next week's edition of WWE Monday Night Raw. First, a huge tag team bout has been set as AJ Styles and Penta will take on the Judgment Day duo of Finn Balor and Jaden McDonough. This match comes after Penta helped fend off the faction during the match between Styles and Balor on this week's show. Also, Grayson Waller will take on Sheamus just 2 weeks after the Celtic Warrior made his return to the ring. Sheamus defeated Austin Theory in that match. Furthermore, Jey Uso will face Bron Breakker in a non-title bout. In addition, Money in the Bank qualifying matches will also be featured on next Monday's show, with participants/matchups not being revealed at this time. Speaking of Money in the Bank qualifiers, they will also begin on SmackDown this coming Friday. On Monday's episode of Raw, Michael Cole announced that Money in the Bank qualifying matches will take place on Friday's edition of SmackDown on USA. Participants and matchups were not revealed. Of course, if we get any more details, we'll let you know in upcoming videos. And Timeless Toni Storm, we know who her opponents are going to be on AEW Dynamite Beach Break this week on TBS. Of course, it's a special edition of the show. Now, on Monday night, Tony Khan confirmed a Fightful Select scoop by announcing that Storm would be taking on Mina Shirakawa, Sky Blue, and the new New Japan Strong Women's Champion AZM in a Women's World Championship Eliminator 4-way match. Now, Dynamite is happening this week in Chicago, Illinois, which means that Sky Blue is the hometown hero, and she'll look to be the hometown girl who made good by defeating 3 of the best women's wrestlers in the world. One of those women is AZM, who just last week defeated Mercedes Moné and Mina Shirakawa to win the New Japan Strong Women's Championship at New Japan's Resurgence event. AZM won the match, and will look to continue the momentum by defeating Blue, Storm, and one of her opponents in the Resurgence match in Shirakawa. AZM actually pinned Shirakawa in the match, and now she has the opportunity to do it again. Timeless Toni Storm competed last week in another Women's World Championship Eliminator 4-way match against Anna Jay, Thunder Rosa, and Penelope Ford. Storm won that match and looks to do it again for fans this week in Chicago. But there you go, guys. Latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe bottom right-hand corner. Once again, we're at 21,644 subscribers. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe as we get closer to 22K on that road to 25,000 subscribers, our goal for this year. If you haven't already, you can join the WN365 roster. Scan the QR code when it appears on the sidebar. You can click the link in the video description or click the join button. You get your badges, your emojis, and your exclusive members-only content. I appreciate everyone for tuning in, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.